I will just let folks know on that last agenda item that we took no action. If there's anything else brought before any other plans that they have, they do come back with a PUD. Everyone will be re-notified. So before the next meeting. So just want to let everybody know that they will be re-notified. If you guys would please, if you're not going to stay for the rest of the meeting, if we could ask you guys to step out, please.
We do have an overflow room.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody in there? Ready to call it to order? All right. We'll call this meeting to order at 6:40. Let me find the agenda here. Well, we'll be out of order. Can we skip to roll call? Do you know if we can do that?
I move we skip to roll call.
Okay. We have to have a second on that?
Second.
We have a motion, a second to skip to roll call.
Odin Gruby,
Here.
Kevin Keener,
Here?
Drew Jackson,
Here.
Clint Horner, Shane Knight,
Here.
Whitney Kerr, Ron Boyer,
Here.
Brandon Wall.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we table the entire agenda to our next meeting and adjourn.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
We'll just call it out because I don't know how, there's no way to get it in the system. Kevin Keener,
Aye.
Drew Jackson,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Ron Boyer,
Aye.
Odin Gruby.
Aye.
Thank y'all. Can we leave? You gotta sign out. You gotta make sure you get logged out.
Do we need,
Do you need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, we will.
I'd
Once we-
make a motion, we adjourn. Oh, it did?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, never mind.
we will, yeah.
Just make sure y'all log out of that one.
thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. I don't wanna do it on different night. Might ought to change it around, have regional before. You know, have it at 5 o'clock, or have, what if we were to switch it around, have regional at 5:30 and planning at 6, or 5 and 5:30? Because it's usually you just, we could rush through regional faster than we could. So we're out of it, we're ready to adjourn. Okay, we can ask about it. Let's do it. Just check one thing. I think we have to have, we have to have a motion to reconvene.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we reconvene the municipal planning commission meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Kevin Keener,
Aye.
Drew Jackson,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Whitney Kerr. Aye.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're back. Let me get to. We're gonna be going to item 5B, discussion and consideration and possible action on PC 2021-16, a preliminary plat request for property near Wilson and Larkspur Lane. Mrs. O'Neill.
This is for obviously a preliminary plat. What they're wanting to do, this is a lot of about 20 acres. They're wanting to divide this into about 51 lots, 50 of them being buildable, one of them being a detention pond. There is also additional detention that they're having on the west side of the property that will run along the property line. We did receive several phone calls and letters and emails about this property as well. We did have a phone call stating that they were for this, and then several that were against. There is water and sewer that run in the area. Each lot is approximately 100 by 120 feet, if not a little bit bigger than that. The zoning is R3, so it's in line with the zoning as far as the lot sizes. They stated that they're planning to build single-family homes on the driveways, with each one having their own driveways. And then rural water is what's running out there, and then there's sewer that runs kind of around the property. Staff reviewed the plat, and there is no issues expressed by staff, and staff did sign off on the plat. The future land use map shows this as low-density residential, the comprehensive plan, and that is currently in line with it. Obviously, we're still working on the future land use map and comprehensive plan. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The representative of the applicant is also here if you have questions for him.
Quick question.
Sure.
This is not a zoning request because this
Correct.
is already R3.
Correct.
Although the development plan that we're looking at really fits R1 requirements.
Correct.
So I think that's all I have right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
But R3 does allow for single family as well as duplex,
yes,
as well
yes.
as, I don't know if that's the question you're having,
No,
but.
I don't think what I was thinking in my head isn't even
Okay.
going to matter. So
Okay, no, that's fine. I just was throwing that out there in case that's where you're trying to go. You're welcome.
Any other questions for Danielle? None? Okay. Byron, could you go to page like 122 and see if that shows the, yeah. We'll see if that helps the. Yeah, that helps a little. Okay, nothing for Mrs. O'Neill. Thank you. The applicant or representative would like to speak on behalf. I'd like to invite them up first.
How are you guys?
Good.
Ken Whittington. I live on Larkspur, 1706. So this land I originally purchased from J. Malk. It was zoned R3 at the time of purchase. And my plan is to put 50 lots with detention. 1,800, 2,200. Some of the lots will probably carry 2,400 square foot homes. It'll have covenants, brick, nice homes. There's a drainage problem on it right now because it's on the side of a hill and it catches everything. So it has been engineered for a 100-year flood, so it's going to fix the drainage problem that's currently there that doesn't have to be fixed because it's just open land. Any questions?
Go for it.
I have a
J.
question.
Malk wanted to buy it back, but I figured that,
That's a good sign though, right?
there'd been a bunch of duplexes there.
So I just had a clarification
Sure.
question, if you don't mind. So on the application, it says it's intended for residential housing. From what I understand, that is a single-family use
Single
for
family.
one use is what you're planning,
Yeah,
correct?
single family.
Okay, I just wanted that to be on the record. I think that's important.
Sure.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Sorry, it looks like a series of detention ponds along the north-south borders of that property that flow into one another,
It's
kind of cascading.
Sure,
into
it's
one another.
engineered
Is that-
not as sheet draining.
Yes.
So it really slows the water down,
Yeah.
and there'll actually be underground storm water going to the detentions that slow down that they go to the pond, so
Yeah.
it's a kind of a unique way of doing things.
I wanted to make that clear because I think that is probably some of the biggest concern we're gonna hear tonight is the drainage. And sheet draining is pretty dangerous
Fast.
in my opinion for
Yeah.
what's going on out there. So just noting that you do have sort of a cascading detention ponds, if you will.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from anyone in opposition to this preliminary plat.
My name's Brady Baskin, 4202 Wilson Street. I go into this with a little bit of reservation because I actually do know the applicant. He's been nothing but good to me, actually delivered our last baby. However, I just have a and I'm not against somebody trying to go and turn a dollar because I'm an entrepreneur too. However, I have severe concerns of the traffic. And it's more than just your typical, well, there's a lot of traffic. I went out today and I measured, and on Larkspur, well, let me back up first. I don't know if this holds any water, no pun intended, in this argument, but the entire stretch of Larkspur and Wilson, that's gonna be, the properties that surround this, which one of them is mine, I have I have like 30 acres right there. My house and every other house that is within 300 to 400 feet of this all average between $500,000 and $800,000. I went in and bought a 10-acre strip and then added acreage to it to build my dream home on. When that land was there was a giant pond. So, I of course had the attitude, nobody will ever be able to build more than one or two houses back there. That pond since then has been filled in. I know there's drainage issues with the solstices, and boy, I almost lost your name with John. But my main concern is the traffic, and that being that everyone that lives in that stretch uses Larkspur. Very rarely do we exit out to the west and go on Wilson down to 49th. On Larkspur, in multiple places, I measured the road today, and it was 16 feet, 3 inches wide. That's 195 inches. I pull a trailer regularly, and lots of people do, and a trailer, as some people know, can be up to 102 inches wide. I don't know what the city requirements are on street width. I'm not that intelligent, but I do know that if you have 102 inches and you have another 102 inches, that's with no room in between, and that's 204, and you're coming off the road, and in multiple places, that pavement drops down anywhere from 6 to 10 inches. And I've personally had a flat in that area. I know a lot of people have damaged the rims, had blowouts. So my main concern is, yes, the value of our homes going down, resale value going down, but most importantly is the traffic. When Heritage was built, most people can attest to this, things were not done properly at the city level the way they should have been done, and that is an absolute debacle. When you come to that stop sign, if you've ever tried to turn left or go down into Heritage, people that come out of Heritage, most of them can't drive very good. They can't execute that turn because the street doesn't line up with the other street. But the main thing is the traffic on Larkspur and Wilson, specifically Larkspur. If we have 50 homes, I would estimate we're gonna have an additional 100 vehicles, and the traffic right now is a nightmare. So I would highly encourage that research is done on the city's part to not have a plan in place to fix the street, but to fix it before any form of development goes on anywhere in Heritage or anywhere on in Heritage Crossing in the relation to the area of Wilson and Larkspur. those are my main concerns is, like I said, the traffic and the fact that you can't safely do it and get around. So that's it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Merle Soltis. I live at 4012 Wilson. My concern is the traffic and the drainage. My wife and I were driving up here tonight, and on University, traffic was backed up to Washington. So can you imagine if they do this development and we add another 100 cars on University? What that's going to do? And if you try to go out in Victory Life on Sunday when they're dismissing services, good luck. It's backed up to Ken's house. So, you know, if you, 100 extra cars there. Drainage, I think my wife sent in some pictures. Did y'all get those?
We did.
Okay. Mr. Barker said we gotta take it. That's what he said earlier about the drainage. When it drains off on us, isn't that what he said in the first meeting? Mr. Barker was talking about the rate of speed and all that. Did you just have to take it?
Well, yeah, that's, I don't know that that was his context, but
Okay,
it was,
that's what I
you can't slow it down. Whatever water's coming on you
Yeah,
from
you
someone.
gotta take it, is what he said.
Okay.
Okay. We can't take it. I mean, you saw the pictures. I mean, there's parts of our yard we can't get to. John's driveway, has been washed out several times. He can't even get out. He's probably spent several $1,000s, you know, replacing the gravel. So, Wilson, you drive down Wilson on the, north side, there's no shoulder. It's all washed out. I mean, it's probably about 1.5 foot drop. I mean, if somebody drops off there, you know, they're gonna tear the car up. So, like I said, our concern is the traffic and drainage. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is John Livingston. I live at 3838 Wilson. I would like to be included in the letter that y'all send out to people if there's going to be another meeting or something. I never received anything, and I'd like to be. I heard of it because of my neighbors on each side, but I'm as concerned as anyone. I've bought the property and lived there since 2003. I have 22 acres, and it used to just be just kind of like a golf course. Now I can't get sometimes in or out of my driveway because the new flow that is coming off this fellow's property has not been addressed. I have 4 times tried to speak with him through his supervisor of his bulldozers and that sort of thing. Another time I asked his wife if he would in some way contact me, because I used to let his children come down there and fish on that property. I had a really nice tank, and they'd come down. He only lives 2 houses from me, so I thought that'd be a neighborly thing to do. This has been going on for some time now, and I've not had any relationship with him whatsoever, which I find is concerning to me, because if he's going to be an entrepreneur and build 52 homes, I'm curious as to whether he's going to treat those people, which are just around the corner from where he lives, like he has treated his neighbors there now. The Saltises and myself are inundated with the rain that's coming off his hill. We've tried to get something done about it. Nothing has been done so far. Now, we've talked to the city, we've talked to the federal people. We were told it was because it was zoned agriculture, and it was kind of, until he made it a commercial venture, then there would be nothing they could do about it. Well, tonight I see that a portion of that is general agriculture, and then some of it right now is this R1 single-family residential. So I'm curious as to why Durant has never tried to either clear the road, because now it has enough dirt in it, you have to get over in the other lane to get around it. The ditches don't run or anything like that. One of my first questions is, since it is R1, why does this individual want to make it R3, which is a general residential?
I think you may be looking at the wrong application or the wrong zoning. The property.
I am, and I
Okay.
apologize.
That's
sir.
okay. The property that we're talking about here is already R3. It's all zoned R3 currently.
This that we're on?
Correct.
That we're talking about?
Yes.
Well, that concerns me because I've been told by people that work for him, there'll be 5 houses there, 5 expensive homes, like that are right beside it now, rather than kind of starter homes. We need the homes in Durant. I just don't know that us that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars need to have a lesser home right beside us or right across the road. That is a concern. I'd like to see it, if it's going to be zoned anyway, it would be R1 rather than the R3, which would allow him to put 1 million apartments up there if he wanted to. I don't have much trust in the individual because I've not been able to speak with him. I don't suppose he has to speak with me, but being a neighbor, you would think he would. The water flow. I welcome you all to come out sometime when we have one of those little 2-inch rains. The water coming off his little 10-acre spot there runs more than Chuckwell Creek. It immediately is up and running over our road and then our driveways and stuff. The streets, mainly because of that, the Heritage Crossing, which is still growing, they have to come up one road to get out. They can't go north, there's no road. They have to come out across a bridge that now, because of the water that is also coming off that hill so much faster, it's underwater. So a lot of times they can't even get out as well. The bridges, the bridge that's across there was supposed to be a single span type bridge. It's 3 big tin whistles. And you know what happens to a 1 tin whistle. They fill up. At this time, and that's right off my property, if you'll send a person from the city out there, 2 of the 3 bridges right now are almost totally blocked, meaning that the water is being backed up and causing that bridge to. His is not the complete problem. Part of Chuckwell is as well. I don't see these little, whatever they're going to call, and then a 1 acre impoundment is not going to stop it enough to cause it to not come on to us. I plead with you to at least consider watching very closely what does transpire over there. The roads have to have something done to them in order to get out or to whatever is going to have to happen. I do appreciate your time, of all of your time, and I thank you very much for it.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Anyone?
Amy Judd, 3725 Wilson, my address, sorry. My main concern is just the roads, just as anyone else. We do have small ones out there. Dr. Whittington's wife sometimes even gets ran off the road. So our main concern is the safety of the people that already live there and the road being properly taken care of.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Have some discussion.
So, I don't walk in that area anymore, but I used to walk in that area. In fact, I've helped a police officer chase cows out of that road before, so I'm familiar with that area and that road. The road is really, really small. I mean, it is small and it is pretty terrifying around there. Frankly, I would not want to live down there because it is extremely narrow, extremely tight. However, I guess my concern here is, I mean, this is already zoned R3, so what Dr. Whittington could be bringing to us could be so much worse than what we're actually looking at here. I actually think this is pretty much in alignment with, I don't want to say that godforsaken project of Heritage Crossing down there, but it's in alignment with what's going on in that area and the housing development in that area. The drainage is a problem anywhere in Durant. I mean, it just is. I did kind of want to say, when Wayne Barker was talking earlier, the comment about you have to take the water, he meant the person doing the project, not the neighbors, not everybody in the area. He meant that the person actually doing the project had to be the one to do the engineering to determine, basically not to increase the water flow on anybody else. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna make it better, but it's not going to, at least theoretically, it's not gonna make it worse from what it is right now. So, I mean, the infrastructure is absolutely a problem in that neighborhood. It's a huge problem. But this housing development that's been proposed is actually really, it's as good as it can be for that area. And I don't know that I think it's fair that Dr. Whittington has to take the infrastructure issues that the city needs to fix and say, you can't use your property in what is technically an extremely restrictive way because the roads and infrastructure doesn't meet everything else that needs to be in that area. The roads are not his fault, so.
I do have one question for the applicant, or maybe for the engineer, either one. Or actually for the applicant, yeah. You mentioned there was going to be covenants. So is there going to be some sort of neighborhood association that is the owner of the drainage detention areas, or how? So here's why I'm asking. We know from a developer standpoint or developer mindset, our drainage system only works as anticipated on day one, that it starts to deteriorate from there, from settlement, that sort of thing. Who's going to maintain the drainage systems for the neighborhood 10 years from now?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you. We can engineer it now and do the best we can, but I may retain that one lot I'll probably just retain the one lot with the pond on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is
You're not going to sell the
no, there's not
retention
going
pond,
there's not going to be an HOA.
Right.
There's
Okay.
not going to be an HOA.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way the drainage is set up, it's going to essentially greatly improve the drainage that everybody's having problems with.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I have no doubt about that. Thank you.
I'm glad, Mr. Knight, you kind of addressed that problem. When the gentleman that owned it before this fellow had it, he was using the property as a large borrow area. And he dug a huge, huge pond up there, and we never had any problem. We never had overflow. Obviously, this gentleman can do anything he wants to the property. I just, because I live out there every day and watch it, I don't think that 50 lots and then one little impoundment acre lot or pond or whatever, unless it's 200 feet deep with some pretty little spillway things, is going to control the overflow at all. It's unbelievable how much it flows out there. And unfortunately, it flows onto the Saltises and onto me. I don't see where, if he's going to make a profit and build 51 or 50 homes or whatever, he's going to have room to actually build something that will impound that water enough to keep it off us. I used to have a real nice pond in my front yard. It was dug 30 feet deep. It now is, in fact, is on the small end of it. It's completely filled in with his dirt. The total depth of my pond up by the dam now is 2.5 feet. His kids used to come up there fishing. There's nothing to fish in it now. The water never clears up. It's a real nasty, muddy color. And we're kind of concerned about what kind of dirt is coming off that hill. It looks more like a sodium montmorillonite or something. It doesn't look like sand and those things that are indigenous to our area. Before the city would approve of something like this, I suppose just because I can't trust the gentleman to call or anything like that, I would like to see that that thing be rezoned to something besides R3, which would allow him to build either or. It's kind of a nightmare to think about another 200 apartments up there on top of that hill. This design that was up there is nice looking with a big U and that sort of thing. Even as it stands right now, and it's just bald soil, and it runs a lot of water off there very quickly. But once you turn about half of that into concrete and driveways and stuff, it is going to pour off there. I'm sure that Mr. Barker knows what he's doing, but I would really hope that he considers a 1 acre impoundment sufficient to keep it off of us. Also, the city has a sewer line on his side of the road over there. The other day, after we had a pretty good rain, that manhole cover and everything was completely underwater. I don't know where then that is being discharged or whatever, but I know that the water was coming up out on it and coming over onto us. That concerns me as well. We've had some trouble getting the city to come out because they told us about that being ag-related or whatever. Could you answer a question and tell us whether or not we have any recourse to call the city about the fact that we're being flooded and eroded and that sort of thing? Is that, what's our next step there, gentlemen?
Handled through, would it be community development, or what's the code enforcement is the proper department to call for those types of issues or concerns?
Is there an individual there I could speak with?
Who would be?
I will speak to it briefly, just because I had some dealings with this about a year ago. We've received several calls about the property, code enforcement wise. We did go out there, we did look at it. DEQ is the one that called it ag related, saying it was ag related, and there was nothing, they would not require them to have a silt fence. So that's where this is stemming from. But as far as recourse, he'd just have to recontact code enforcement, and code enforcement would have to do their investigation, but it'd have to be Sean Jackson or Greg Adams are the two code enforcement officers.
Just a couple of comments. First, want to thank our council members for coming. Appreciate you being here and listening. This is, somewhat typical of what we hear: water and streets, streets and water. So I really do appreciate y'all being here, especially our new member, Mr. Humphrey Miller. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think most of my thoughts align with what Ms. Kerr had to say. I thought that was well worded, so I won't restate. I think, one thing to note is that by this being developed, drainage will be forced to be addressed. This was stated as a residential R1 use, which, today we are not addressing zoning. There was no zoning request made. It is R3, as Whitney stated, an R1 use, I think, is good for the area. The streets are an issue, period. They are. I don't think anybody would ever deny that. But I agree with Ms. Kerr that, penalizing a property owner, for something that, city should address is inappropriate. So I think we're addressing use.
If you don't mind, I'd like to add, at least for the development, the improvement plans have all been designed and submitted to the city, and I believe reviewed and approved. So as far as the drainage, the streets, and the utilities.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know that I have anything profound other than what everyone else has already said, but I do think that the development is in alignment with surrounding areas. I mean, I know there's some large acreage home sites out there, but being that we are within, a pretty highly desirable area within the core of the city of Durant, I think this thing is going to continue to happen, these types of developments. I think the one that's been presented to us and the plat that's been presented to us is a whole lot better than what could come out of an R3 zoning. And as far as the drainage, I totally understand everyone's concern. I think from an engineering standpoint, we design off of the data, and the data says that what has been designed here from Mr. Barker is going to alleviate the drainage problems that the neighboring properties do have. There is concern about the future. Someone's got to maintain that drainage system in order for it to continue to operate the way that it does. So that, I think that's the biggest question in my mind is, it's only as good as it's constructed. So that's it.
Ed McCurry, 1923 Larkspur Lane. Right on the corner there. We've been there for about 32 years. And it's been going on probably longer than that, Even when the dirt road was in there, they did a good job on maintaining it periodically. But look at the picture. That corner at Larkspur and Wilson, we've witnessed in the last 8 years, at least 2 wrecks per year there. And now that we've got all the traffic coming out of there and Wilson being used as a drag strip, I think that's what they do. They probably don't call it drag racing anymore. They try to drift the corners and had one in the ditch that goes across down to John's there in that little drainage, and the ditch is about as deep as I am tall. That's pretty deep, and the pavement's that far from the end of the culvert. And like the gentleman said, the Larkspur Lane was laid down by the city dodging limbs on the east side of the road, and then they came in and dug up the middle of the street to put a water line down through there. And that corner there has been water leak for 2 years or 3, and repaired about a half a dozen times. May hold this time, looks like. Up the road there from me, my neighbor has a water leak on the city side that it's been running for about 3 months and hadn't been fixed. When Wilson was put in, I asked about addressing the water situation down there then, when they were putting in a blacktop. And they did. They went down and dug up 2 round culverts and put in 2 flat top culverts the same size. And now there's 3 culverts between us and John, and about that much water flow in them. So what we have here is the city problem, not maintaining what they've got. And I can't imagine what it would be like for another 200 or 300 automobiles to come out of there every day. 15, 20 times a day, like they're going across the creek over there. So I can see lots of concern there. We got kids in the area that like to try to ride bicycles, or they even walk around the neighborhood and fish. We have, I'm not going to say elderly people my age, because I'm not old. But we walk out there periodically, and we have a lot of them that do daily walking on those streets out there. So there's the concern. Somebody's going to be ran over and killed, if not maimed to the point where they won't have quality life. There's so many things I could suggest, but I don't know that I would get anything done about it. Repairing the road on Larkspur for sure. Lifting the road down in front of this development about 3 or 4 feet and putting in a proper drainage system. The question I have with all that drainage water down there is how we're going to handle the stormwater that comes out of that. Does it go into city sewer?
No, I don't know that we have any, I know it wouldn't go into city sanitary sewer, and I doubt we have any storm sewer.
There's not any storm
Okay.
sewer.
No. It would not
So-
go into sanitary, no.
No. So there's a great big picture that needs to be resolved there. I guess that's about all I have.
Thank you.
Oh, one other. Policing the area would be nice.
That's the gentleman you talked to over there.
Let me say a couple more things here. I know a few of those officers down across the creek that they have started stopping at the stop sign since I pointed out the fact that they didn't.
Just my thoughts, I agree with Whitney and Drew, and for this zoning that I don't dismiss any of the problems that are out there. But for the zoning that it currently has, this is the best scenario for, we're even talking, these lots are even bigger than they have to be. So they don't have to be this big. So that's just my thought on a bad situation. This is the best plat for a bad situation. Yeah, any further discussion or motion? And just a reminder, I said earlier that any motion we make, take a vote on as a recommendation to council. So make sure you attend the council meeting, which is June, it's next week, next Tuesday. The 8th, June the 8th, is that right? Okay. Yeah, today's the 1st, it should be the 8th, okay.
There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I was going to make the motion that move to approve contingent upon the plat being used according to R1 standards.
Listen, it's 7:30. I'm hungry. I don't have time for this. I will second that motion.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please. No, mine didn't come up. showed up. We're gonna move to item number 6, new business. Do we have any new business?
There is no new business unless you guys have any questions for me.
I have a question for you
Sure.
on regional and municipal planning commission.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about moving regional to before municipal to help us not have like what we had tonight, the timing issue?
That's something that could be discussed. We'd have to look at other schedules. We'd have to take that up at the next regional planning commission meeting to move a date time. But I know Tuesdays, today it was meetings back to back from 3:30 till now, in this room. So, may not be doable, but I'll have to double check the schedules and see.
I just thought that may help us actually, I mean, the regional, I would expect the regional meeting to go quicker than, or we could allot a certain amount of time to it that we could probably hit. And when we have a long agenda item or highly contested items on the municipal side, it wouldn't. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I've got along those lines that maybe just reversing them, like not asking for a new time on the calendar, but regional at 5:30, municipal at 6:30, versus trying to make a new calendar time for the room. If that might be an option. So
If you wanted to move municipal, you guys could do that. I'm not sure we could do that at this meeting. We'd probably have to do it at the next one. And then that way we'd take it up with the regional as well. But I mean, that's a possibility.
You have any thoughts on that, Whitney?
So normally your regional commission meetings seem to go pretty quickly. Is that pretty standard or? So instead of saying 6:30, I mean, would it be possible to do 6? Could y'all squeeze that into 30 minutes, or is that gonna be a problem?
My thought is even if on the chance that it did go longer than 30 minutes, which normally we're done, it'd be easy to, we're not inconveniencing, the public by pausing that meeting and continuing later, But we are inconveniencing, people who show up the way we're doing it.
I think you could keep it if the other members, if 5:30, like because we have a 30, if we started at 5:30 and then at 6 o'clock do the municipal, so 5:30 regional, is that what we're thinking?
yes,
I think an hour might be too long.
Just be cautious of in the future, we don't know that we're gonna be able to get done in 30 minutes in regional, cause this is just beginning,
But we can
so.
still reconvene.
Right, I'm just saying that, we just need to be cognizant of that, that we may not be able to continually be done in no time, just because we're gonna have other things on the agenda with regional as time goes on. So I'm just throwing it out there, and like I said, we can, if you want, we can have that conversation, we can put on an item on the next agenda and vote on it and all that if you'd like.
Can you have a time slot for regional? Can it say after municipal, or does it have to have a specific time?
It has to have a specific time.
Okay.
Both have to have their own designated time.
The mayor and Mr. Boyer are still here if they want to comment on the timing. Are either one of you opposed to having the regional at 5:30?
No, as long as I have a little bit of a heads up.
Okay.
Excuse me? What? I can't hear you anymore.
well, maybe we could put that as a action item on next month's meeting.
We
to
can.
look at
I can do that.
potentially changing this.
Yeah, I
So,
can do
and
that.
I understand what you're saying, that we're not always gonna be in the boat where regional's a lot quicker.
Right,
I totally agree with you there.
yeah.
But I think for the foreseeable future, of the next 12 months, maybe more. I don't see that we're gonna inconvenience citizens by convening out of that and coming back to it after municipal. That's
that-
just my 2 cents.
Does that negatively affect you?
I'm here anyways.
So, no. Whitney, is that bother, the time slot change? Because you're not here for regional, so it would basically, does that affect you in a negative way?
Not really. I mean, in fact, there are some days I can see it actually helping, so.
Okay. I'd rather do something like that to help it than have that what we had to do, like say inconveniencing the folks that are here, plus I don't want, or a different day. I'd rather keep them on the same day personally, but.
Yep. I can put that on the next agenda for both
Okay.
regional and planning.
Okey dokey. We have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Listen, I felt judged, so now I'm just gonna be quiet for the rest of the meeting.